Hello, everybody. It's me. My name's Gary Lee. I'm a PhD candidate at Charles Darwin University at the moment. So, without further ado, let's talk about this Epigeum research training. Now, I hope you don't mind, right? I'm fresh up this morning. I'm having my cup of coffee, my Americano for my American viewers. So, what do we need to know about doing this Epigeum training, right? And are you like me? Are you in a situation where you have to do this as part of your PhD program or higher degree by research program, wherever you are in the world? They have a lot of courses, right? A whole variety of courses. But more than likely, if you're in an Australian setting like I am, you might have to do this research and integrity second edition module, right? It's not difficult. What are three things that you need to know in order to do it? The first is that it's probably going to take you a little bit longer than what they recommend it takes. So they suggest maybe 4 or 5 hours, right? So you could stretch that over a day. I believe in my case, I might have completed it in under that time. I can confess that I've spent a little bit of time both in advance and after the fact going through and looking at the material, talking with my supervisors about the material. We did that throughout the day. So when I was doing this training, I had access to my supervisor, so I could talk to them through what I was experiencing. And it also is worth noting that as I have been quite fortunate with my education, not to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but having studied at the National University in Australia, so that's the ANU, and the University of Melbourne, having always had a focus on doing research, I've had a lot of exposure to research integrity matters, right, at a variety of different institutions. And as an undergraduate at either or, and particularly as a graduate, you're always presented with the opportunity to get your work out there if you can meet that standard, and there's plenty of support. So first tip is that it's probably going to take a little bit longer than what you think. The second tip is that if English is your second language, you might struggle a little bit because of the nature of some of the questions that they ask. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, even for myself, I'm a native English speaker, but we all approach things with our own perspective, our own worldview, our own experiences, and we live in a world where there are many answers and many ways of answering, but in an examination like this, they're looking for a particular type of thing. Fortunately, it's very forgiving, so if you fail, you can take it again. And you only need 8 out of 10, right? So you can see in some of them, I got like full marks. In others, I only just scraped 80. Again, I chalk that up to just being probably a bit of a bad test taker myself, right? I know that sounds a bit rich coming from a PhD candidate. Some other things that are sort of worth noting is when you do the, not sure if it's going to let me in or not. When you do these, right, they have a lot of supplementary resources and a lot of references that are available to you. You can also just skip straight to the module quiz right at the end, right? But if I were you, what I would suggest is to spend a little bit of time with the references and the resource bank, because some of the primary documentation that they provide, particularly with the research code and some of the legislation that might be relevant to your PhD or your research, is going to be like really, really handy. What do I think about the training though overall? Right, so it is worth acknowledging that when I streamed the training, I had a live audience, and when I stream, I play both myself simultaneously as being rival Gaz, and depending on what's happening in the moment, I have to accommodate that. I have, only a very small audience, right? But they are active lurkers and active watchers, so it means that I have to accommodate them. They're either listening in the case with my supervisor, listening in, co-working at the same time, and they want to know what their streamer colleague is experiencing. They have lots of great courses to do. I would be interested in doing more, but fortunately, in my case, the only thing I have to do is the Research Integrity second edition. I don't have to complete all of it. I have to complete this first part, which is something that I have done, right? So allow me to show you what that looks like. You will get 5 courses here with a score, as well as the other 3 here. So in my case at Charles Darwin, I'm expected to do 8, right? To show that I completed Research Integrity, right? My university recommends you complete all of them, but it's not necessary. They strongly recommend that you do supplementary material as it's sort of relevant to you. So in my case, human participants, because I will be doing that. I am interested in doing the rest. I probably will get around to doing the rest of them, but if you're anything like me, then you might sort of struggle with just following orders and following instructions. So there's a temptation that when you're like an overachiever to do a lot more than what you really need to do. And in this case, my university just asks, just do those things first. Let me show you, right? So if you just go Charles Darwin University Confirmation of Candidature, it should be one of the first results for you if you're a CDU student, that is. And whatever university you're going to, obviously just go and look it up. And part of what I have to do in my part 1, this is all going to change for you most likely by the time you watch this in the future. But if you're watching this close to when this video was published, it should still largely be the same, right? Always talk to your supervisor. Always talk to your supervisor. Talk to your Office of Research Innovation. Talk to your student guild, any club, whoever you can speak to at your university, even if it's a Facebook group. If you're not sure, always clarify. Nothing wrong with asking questions, you know. Don't worry about how you come across, because you're part of what's happening in Australia most likely is that you're in a research training program. So you're here to get research trained, and ain't no shame in developing. I know I'm not embarrassed at all by my shortcomings. That's why I recorded myself failing 3 times. All right. So part of what we have to do within the first 3 months is do this research integrity training, which I've completed, and you can watch that recording on my YouTube channel somewhere else. That's okay. Have fun with it, right? Don't take it too seriously. That's just me sitting there reading very quickly, trying to understand the questions, having a bit of a rant, having a bit of a rave, trying my best to entertain myself while doing that additional training, because I have been trained in this before professionally, right? I have worked as a lecturer before. I'm fortunate with that experience, and I have published research before, and I have had interactions with our Office of Research Innovation before, so I'm lucky. But coming at it totally blind, I can imagine how it might be a little overwhelming. So, like, if you could study with a friend, that'd be awesome. If you could talk with your supervisor about stuff you've encountered, even better. But I fully acknowledge that some of you might be in a situation where your supervisor is a high flyer, and you're only going to have those 1 or 2 meetings a year, so you don't want to bog them down with that kind of crap. If you're in that situation, you want to show them all your results and how it's smooth sailing. But yeah, we have to also do a supervisory charter declaration, which is this, right? Now, I imagine ordinarily, in your case, at your university, wherever you are, not have a charter, or if you do, that's great. Probably have to make one, sign one. It's just an agreement, a bit of a memorandum of understanding between you, your supervisor, and your team, what it is that you're going to do, how you communicate, what happens when there's problems, you know, how long is too long, letting them know all about you and what you can do. All right, so you do that, and this, and you submit it together in a form, and that gets circulated around, and you should be good to go for diving in further into your confirmation of candidature at Charles Darwin University. But again, your experience might be similar or a little bit different depending on your uni. Let me know. I would love to hear about it. So what are the modules then? What are the modules that you got to do? You got to do responsible conduct of research. What could go wrong when you breach the code, because there's a code. Planning your research, managing and recording your research, information and training about data selection analysis and how you present that research, information about publishing, your professional responsibilities, and how you communicate, and your social responsibilities, right? And for me, I did the conduct of human participants research supplementary material. So we can talk through sort of all of those. They all have, they're all a little gamified, right? So click this, click that, watch this little video. It's not too bad. In my experience, I found some things that were contradictory, or maybe I was just misunderstanding things in the moment. You might find that too. Did I learn? Let's ask like a few different questions, right? Did I learn anything by doing this? And the answer is, yeah, I did. I learned a few things, but the biggest standout of the lot was the importance of the legislation for me. All right, that was very interesting for me, and the different terminology that people have around misrepresenting or hyping or embellishing their research. You know, being a little fraudulent with how it's being put out there. Also, I will say some of the examples about sort of quote unquote shady practice, or not as practices that don't have the integrity that they should. I've seen a lot of that stuff. And also, like, if you watch my recording of when I did it, I was quipping on about how you would manage relationships with supervisors and your workplace and stuff. It is worth noting that, like, again, like that's my stream thing. That's one thing, but it also shows me doing the work, right? So I'm doing a few different things at once in that recording. Whereas in this recording, I'm just point blank telling you that you should spend a little bit more time than you need. You should look at those references and primary sources, right? If you can study with a friend, you should do it. If you can talk to your supervisor about what you're experiencing and what you're studying in here, you should do it. And last but not least, you will learn something doing this. But again, there's some challenges there. If English is not your first language, you're going to have some challenges. Because I had challenges just with how the questions were worded. But maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. Maybe you're actually a star, and you don't like me, and you're going to overthink it, and you're going to be like, oh crap, and choose the wrong thing. Maybe you won't. The website remembers most things, and you do get a few attempts. So like if you bungle a question or whatever, and some of these quizzes, then you'll be all right. The quiz questions are randomized too, so you might not get the same questions as what I did, right? They also ask you questions like, what is not a thing to do, as well. So I'm glad I did it. It wasn't hard to do. You can do it in one sitting. You do get a lot of certificates, like 8 or 9. I guess you can show them off. If you don't have anything else to show off, then you can show them off. But yeah, that's all I can really think about off the top of my head. So if you want to watch me do it, the YouTube video is there. If you got any questions, you can just leave them for me in the comments. But always ask your supervisory team, talk to your university, talk to your folks. And if you are studying at Charles Darwin University, don't be intimidated by this training. If you don't know how to access the training, contact the people at the Office of Research and Innovation or your supervisor. They will hook you up. Don't be ashamed of it. Just ask them. Don't be nasty about it either, obviously, because we're supposed to get this on day dot. Apparently, like, there's been a little bit of a mix-up, but as urgent as it is, that needs to be done in the first 3 months. It's completely possible to do. But yeah, look, guys, I wish you all the best in doing this training. I had a blast. You can watch my video. Any questions at all, just hit me up. But yeah, they're my tips for players. So best of luck to you, and enjoy, and fantastic work on your PhD, right? Because if you haven't heard that today, you're going to make it.